Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Just to let you know that this one is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is where I built 7mlctraining.com, and from websites and analytics to marketing tools, Squarespace is the all-in-one place to grow your online presence and manage your business. But welcome back to another video. Today is going to be another day in the life episode. I'm really pleased to see in the comments from the previous episode you guys are getting a lot of value out of this series, so I'm going to continue on with it. And I've had some really good questions that I'm going to try and answer throughout this episode. The first being from Cameron, and actually a lot of people had this question as well, but they want to see what a full week schedule looks like, and I think that's a great idea. I would love to get around to filming an entire week in one video. That is definitely going to be a longer one, so it'll be something I'm going to plan for in the future. But for now, what I'm going to be doing is filming each day of the week individually, so you guys can get an idea of how we train on those specific days, because it looks a little different depending on when we have a match. So a Wednesday looks a little different to a Monday, to a Friday, etc. So I'm going to try and film each day individually so you can get a rough idea of how we structure our weeks. So today is a Monday, it's 2 days after a match. So this is our recovery day usually, especially guys who played a lot of minutes. They're not going to be putting too much on the legs today, but there's also guys in the squad who didn't travel, guys in the squad who didn't get very many minutes, like myself. I actually didn't get on the pitch yet. As you guys know, been still recovering from this groin injury, trying to build up to match fitness. I'm feeling pretty much 100% now, so the goal now is just to try and show in training that I'm ready to compete. We're in a position now where the guys are doing really well, which is amazing. We've won 3 games in a row, so it's going to be tough to break into the squad now, which is a good problem to have. And obviously, I can't complain if we're getting those results. The coach knows what he's doing, and he's not going to make many changes. But I'm going to be working as hard as possible so that when I do get my opportunity, hopefully I can take it with both hands. So we're continuing on today with training. So myself and the other guys who didn't get in the squad, as well as the guys who didn't get many minutes, we're going to be training today, and it's going to be looking a little different to what we usually do on a day-to-day basis. And then the guys who got a lot of minutes will do a light warm-up, a bit of a stretch, and then get a recovery session in. So I'm going to take you along and show you what that looks like. Another question I had from Blue Spark was an apartment tour. So I'm going to give you a quick apartment tour right now. So I am in my apartment in Tulsa now. It's a little studio apartment, so I'm just going to give you a quick show around. You come in the front door here. We've got a couch, we've got the TV, we've got some coffee tables. This was all fully furnished when I came in, so I don't need to do anything, so that when I up and leave at the end of the season as well, I don't have to take anything with me. So very ideal situation. Then on the right, we've got the kitchen, got everything I could need, the fridge, we've got a washer dryer, we've got the sink, we've got a microwave, we've got a cooker. We've got a little table here. This is where I do all my editing, where I eat my meals. Yoga mat. Already did my yoga this morning. Also, I had my eggs on toast that you guys saw in the previous episode. We've got the bed over here. We've got a fan, which is great. AC and heater. It gets very hot, I've heard, here in the summer, so I'm definitely going to be making use of that. We've got bathroom, and then we've also got this like walk-in wardrobe over here, which is ideal, where I can store all my stuff. And oh, I definitely got to show you these. So my absolute favorite football boot of all time is the Adidas F50 Adi Zero. And in my hand, I have a brand new pair of the 2011 model, which is unbelievable. These are so rare and hard to find, but a huge shout out to Holtz Boots, who sorted those out for me. You need to get in touch with him if you need any boots, whether it's the most modern boots out there, or if there's a boot that discontinued that was one of your favorites, reach out to Holtz Boots and I'm sure they'll be able to sort it out for you. So I'm going to put their Instagram on the screen right now, as well as the description box below. Couldn't recommend them enough. I've been in touch with them for a while, and pretty much any request I've ever had, they said they can handle it. So honestly, I'm absolutely buzzing to wear the F50 Adi Zero again. I want to preserve these as long as possible, so probably only going to wear them for home matches when we're on grass, because the artificial turf is just going to shred these to pieces. Also, a question from Sir Sweep Sheep. He asked if I do individual training, how often, what do I focus on? So I'm going to be showing that in today's video as well. Individual training is something I try and do a little bit of every day after training, just for about 20 minutes or so to get some extra touches. But if I'm in this situation where I'm not getting many minutes and I'm needing to get those extra touches, get that extra fitness in, I'll either do my individual work on a Sunday or I'll do it on a Monday after our session. So our session today will be a little bit shorter, it will be quite intense, but I'll definitely have the energy in the legs to get a full individual training session after. So I'm going to show you guys that as well, show you everything that I work on specific to me as a winger, how I kind of structure my individual training sessions while I'm training with my team during the season. That's pretty much what today is going to look like. We're going to get over to the training facility now. I'm going to do some activation, a little bit of prehab and a warm-up. Then I'm going to go into the team training session, and then afterwards we'll get an individual session. So let's get over there. So I'm just going to run you through a typical prehab workout. I usually try and get to the facility around 30 to 45 minutes before the start of training, just to get that extra activation and warm up in to help not only boost my performance on the pitch, but help reduce the risk of injury. So I'll start by jumping on the bike for about 5 to 10 minutes to get the blood flowing. Then I'll go into a series of resistance band exercises. This really helps with activation, getting all the muscle fibers switched on. And it also helps you reduce the risk of injury if you have these areas switched on, because if they're not, then other parts of the body are going to take the load, and that's how you get overuse injuries. So this is a typical circuit I'll do about 12 repetitions of each exercise, and then I'll go into some mobility work to help increase my range of motion, lubricate the joints, just get everything flexible so that I'm not overstretching during training. I'm really spending a lot of time opening up my hips and groin, because that's obviously a problem area. I'm recovering from an injury. So this is going to help boost that recovery and also help reduce the risk of re-injuring the area, because that's really important. Once you've recovered from injury, usually your range of motion is a little bit less, you're a little bit less flexible, and the area might be a bit weakened. So these exercises are going to help you get back to that same level of fitness and strength that you were at before the injury. So as you can see, I'm really spending a lot of time opening up those hips and groin area, increasing that range of motion. It's something that's really important if you want to prolong your careers. This is a great stretch you can do with just a wall. Really helps you open up those adductors, because that was my problem area. I had really tight adductors, which overcompensated in my abs and my hips, and then I ended up with a groin strain. Then we got out on the training pitch, and you might notice we're on the grass today, which is right next to the artificial turf that we usually train on. But because the turf is a little less forgiving on the body, and we train on it most days as well as sometimes play matches, we're putting a lot of wear and tear on the body. So if we come over onto the grass, which is a bit softer, it's a little better for the body. So perfect for these recovery lighter days. So we'll go through a warm-up, go through some light sprints as well, probably about 70 to 80% of our max. Then we'll go through a team stretch. And then the players that played 60 minutes or more will go inside to do a recovery session with our strength and conditioning coach. And then the players that didn't either play many minutes or didn't travel with the squad will stay out and train. So we have about 28 players in the squad and only 18 travel, and from those 18 maybe 14 or 15 players will play. So a few of us stay out. We'll usually start with some drills just to get technically sharp, then we'll go into some small possession based games just to get the ball moving around, and then we'll typically end with some kind of match. Usually on Mondays we play small-sided, so we'll divide the team up into 2 teams of 6 or 7, depending on how many players that we have available to train that day. And then we're just competing against one another. So we are getting a lot of work in because we didn't play in the match, so it's important that we're trying to build that match fitness and trying to simulate a match situation as much as we possibly can. So we're getting those touches, we're going to goal, we're getting a lot of repetitions, a lot of touches on the ball because it is small-sided, and I really enjoy it because you're getting a lot of 1v1 situations. You're close to goal when you receive the ball, so there's a lot of opportunities to get shots off. you're really working on that attacking third play. So a lot of one-touch football, quick combinations, getting in behind, and it's really competitive. So that's always good to add that element of competitiveness. That makes the players work a little bit harder. So obviously the players out there right now are looking to try and either break into the 18, or if they're already in the 18, they're trying to earn some minutes on the pitch. So it's definitely an intense training session, and we usually go for about an hour or so in total, and then we'll go inside and do a little bit of a stretch or recovery in the gym as well. But that's a typical training session on a Monday.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. There you go, man.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Have a great day.
You too. So training's done, just came to get some food close to the training facility. So I've gone with a power bowl. It's got some salmon, plenty of veggies, some avocado, and some other good stuff. So I'm gonna eat this, let it digest for a bit, go back to the training facility, relax there for a while, and then I'm gonna go back out onto the training pitch and do an individual training session. So I want to work on a few things specific to my position as a winger, mainly some cutting in and shooting, a little bit of dribbling, and also just a little bit of extra fitness as well, because today was intense, but it was all very short and sharp. So I want to open it out a little bit, get into my stride. So gonna eat this, relax for a little bit, and then we'll get back out on the training pitch. So for my individual training session, I began with a warm-up. My body was already quite activated and warm from not only the prehab session, but also the training session with the team. So I just went through a few dynamic movements back and forth, and it only took about 5 minutes to feel like I was fully switched on once again. So as you can see, just going through different angles, warming up the joints, warming up the body, getting those muscles nice and elastic, ready to go for the session, which is not only going to help me increase the performance of my training session, because if you're more mobile, you're going to be able to move quicker and more efficiently, but it also helps me avoid injury. Then I went into a little bit of a band resistance workout once again, very similar to what I did in the gym. I'm just using a lighter band this time because, as I said, already pretty activated at this point. So just doing a little run through once again to make sure everything is switched on and I'm not going to pick up any of those overuse injuries. Then I went into some fast feet work. I always try and include a little bit at the beginning of all of my training sessions. I think it's really important to work on that coordination, learning to control your body. So stuff like this is really going to help you on the pitch move more efficiently. I'm adding a little bit of stability work in there as well, landing on one leg, driving across to the other side. As you can see, I'm starting in the middle, and then on these final repetitions, I'm bounding from one side to the other. So adding a little bit of explosive work in there, moving laterally from side to side. So I went through about 6 repetitions on each side, making sure I'm focusing on each leg individually. This is going to help you with your explosiveness if you're working on one leg at a time, because you always have muscular imbalances between the legs. So if you can do individual reps on each side, you're just going to be a lot more balanced as an athlete, which is going to help you with your performance. Then I just went into a dynamic ball mastery exercise, just working around these 5 cones. I went through the first repetition with my right foot only, the second rep with my left foot only, and then I went through a final rep with both feet. Obviously, we're not moving very quickly at this point. We're just getting those touches on the ball, getting warmed up, working on that control before we go into anything a bit more intense. You guys know I really advocate for ball mastery. I think it's a great way to get thousands of extra touches on the ball every single day, and you don't need much room whatsoever. If you don't have these cones, you can use water bottles, anything you have lying around the house, just to create objects that you have to control the ball around. Really helps you with the accuracy of your touches, and we're using the inside and outside of both feet. It's important that you have control on both sides. You don't want to be dominant on one side only. You're just going to be a more dangerous player if you have full control with all the surface areas of both feet. So this particular drill I went through 3 times in total, and then I moved into a very simple shooting exercise. So all I'm doing is just cutting inside these cones and trying to bend the ball far post. I'm not doing a lot of high speed dribbling at this point. I still consider this warming warming up, but I am making sure I'm explosive with that movement past the cones, trying to replicate a match situation because you're not going to have a lot of time after you cut the ball inside to get the shot off. The defenders are going to recover quickly. So I cut the ball inside and I'm trying to get that shot off with my next touch. But the goal of this particular drill is just the end product. Because I trained with my team, I got a lot of passing work, a lot of first touch, a lot of dribbling, because we had the match situation to go through. So we're incorporating a lot of different elements of the game. I'm just really working on an area that is special to my position. Something I'm going to be encountering particularly as a winger is cutting inside and shooting. So whatever position you play, try and think of things that you're going to be doing particularly that your other teammates might not be doing. So if you're a central midfielder, maybe you want to work on your through balls, or if you're a defender, you might want to work on your defensive headers. Just whatever you do often during a match, these are great things to work on in your individual sessions as well. It's really going to help you specialize your position, because there are certain things that are more applicable to certain positions than other. You obviously need to have an all-round good ability with the ball, being able to pass, have a good first touch, and those simple things, but there are certain things that you need to work on a little bit more specifically. You can also work on your crossing as a winger as well. It's entirely up to you and what you want to get out of that particular training session. Then I went into a little bit of a course. You guys have seen this on the channel before. It's the Cr7 Speed Drill. So we start at the box, we sprint back, collect the ball, and then we go around the course and get back to the box, and then we're finishing inside it. So the goal is to do it quickly, but keep in control of that ball, and then finish with some end product. It is quite tiring. It should take you around 15 seconds or so to complete. There isn't lines to work with, but typically you'll make this course around the 18-yard box. So the two cones at the top that you accelerate to collect the ball will usually be at the top of the D, and the box will probably be around the penalty spot. So if you have a full-size pitch to work with, this is very easy to set up. But this is something I've done for years. It's a really good drill that incorporates a lot of different things. We've got some acceleration, deceleration, tight space dribbling, speed dribbling, tight turns, and then some finishing in there as well. So I went through that one 5 times in total. And then I finished the training session just with some strides. As we didn't do much sprinting in today's training session as a team, I wanted to increase my stride length just a little bit because everything was small-sided. So all I've done here is created 6 gates in total. So starting at one gate, it's a slow jog. Then you increase your speed at the second gate. Then you accelerate between the third and fourth gate. And then you slow it down till you get to the opposite side. So from the first gate to the second, it's 10 steps. And then between the second and third gate, it's 5 steps. And then between the third and fourth, it's 20 steps, because this is your longest distance that you're going to be running, and it's the exact same setup on the opposite side. And for this one, I just went through 10 repetitions in total. So when you get from one side to the opposite side, that's 1 repetition, and then it's continuous, changing speeds at all times until you've done 10 repetitions in total. Alright guys, back in my apartment now. That was a good individual training session. It was a little over an hour and 8 minutes to be exact. That includes the warm-up as well and a little cool down at the end. So getting those extra touches that I'm going to be encountering during a match. Just working on things applicable to me as a winger. So a little bit of dribbling, a little bit of finishing, a little of cutting inside and shooting. So just a few things that I wanted to work on that I didn't feel like I got enough of in the training session today with the team, and also just a little bit of running there at the end just to open out the legs. So good stuff, good day of training. Just have my smoothie, the exact same recipe you guys saw in the previous episode, and then in an hour or so I'm gonna have my dinner. I'm having chicken, pasta and broccoli, with a little bit of sauce on it as well. So very similar meals throughout the week, but I like to make sure I'm including good quality carbs, good quality protein, and plenty of vegetables, and of course drinking water throughout the day, and I feel that fuels me in the right way. So I just wanted to answer a question now. This was a really good one from Miguel Alves. He said, what's the biggest difference you found from playing at the lower levels to now being a professional? I thought this was a really good question to answer. So obviously I've played at all levels. I've played amateur, I've played college, semi-professional, now professional. And so there's a few differences that I have noticed. Some of them are quite obvious, some of them you don't think about or you don't realize until you're actually in the environment. So the obvious thing is that in professional teams, players are getting paid. In semi-professional, some are getting paid, some are getting paid different amounts. Usually most people have a job on the side of playing, and then at the amateur level, you're not getting paid. So that's the obvious difference, and then another very obvious difference is the ability of the players. So whether that's physical, technical, tactical, they're just higher level, the higher level that you get. And the reason for that is just players are getting more repetitions throughout the years on the ball. They're in those intense environments more regularly, and so naturally they adapt to it. The more you do something, the better you get. It's a very simple equation. So players at the professional level have just spent more time with the ball, more time training with other players in a very intense environment, and as a result, they're a lot better on the ball, they make better decisions, and they're better players overall. So that's a very obvious difference, and the way you can actually apply that information and help you in this very moment is try and get into as many team environments as possible and do as many individual training sessions on the side as possible. Getting on the ball every single day is just going to improve your ability on the ball, and being in those match situations as often as possible is going to help you with your decision making. It's going to help you be able to handle the ball under pressure while you've got defenders closing you down. It's just going to help your overall game if you can be in those match situations as often as you can. And I know it's not always possible, but just try and get some friends together if you don't have a team to train with, to at least play small-sided games and things like that. Even if you're just going 1v1, it's sometimes better than just training by yourself. So as often as you can, try and train with other players, and at the very least, get individual training in every single day. The more time you spend with the ball, the better you're going to be on it. So that was point number 1. I've got 5 for you today. There's definitely more than that, a lot of different variables I could mention, but I want to make sure I'm not going too long with this video, I'm not rambling on, so I'm going to keep it to 5, then I can share more in a future video if I need to. So the second one is speed of play. So I've found that the ball moves faster, guys are taking fewer touches, they're more accurate and clean with their touch. So they're able to move the ball quickly, they're checking their shoulder all the time, so they've got decisions in the back of their mind before the ball is already at their feet. And that's a big difference I've noticed from playing at a low level to a higher level. The higher I've gone, I've noticed players are really scanning their shoulders all the time. They don't need to be fixated on the ball when it's coming towards them to take their first touch. They're a bit more natural with the ball, so they're able to look around them, have awareness, and still have that quality in their touch and make their decision. So the way that you can apply that into your own game is to be checking your shoulders as often as you can. The more information you're taking in, you're going to be more equipped when the ball finally arrives at your feet. Instead of getting the ball at your feet, then looking around, trying to find a teammate to pass to, these valuable seconds are going to be wasted. You might get closed down, the opportunity to pass the ball might have vanished. So the more information you can take in when the ball's on its way, you can take the ball in one touch, play it with your second, or you can play it in one touch if you're very rehearsed and trained in your first touch. Moving into point number 3, and this is something that I've noticed a bit more particularly at the USL level, and I'm sure even at higher levels than this it's even more evident, that players can handle and adjust to bad passes as well as good passes. So at the semi-professional level, if you're playing good passes around, usually the ball's moving quickly, but sometimes if the ball isn't played in perfectly, if it's to the wrong foot, if it's got a bobble in it, sometimes the players have a bit of a hard time handling that ball. But what I've noticed at this level, even if the ball's bobbling in, they're still able to take it one touch. The ball doesn't have to be moving perfectly along the ground to string a few passes together. So how can you apply this information to your training? I would say the best thing you could do is just to make sure you're always finishing your repetitions. No matter if you're dribbling through some cones and you knock over a cone and you've got to finish with a shot, just finish with the shot even if you messed up the dribble. Don't just stop, go back to the start and try again. Always finish your repetitions, because it's not always going to be perfect during a match. Make sure you're practicing the ability to adjust to mistakes and still finish with some quality. Even if the shot isn't hit perfectly, it's not always hit perfectly at the top level as well. It's all about how they adjust and adapt even to those bad passes and even to those mistakes. Number 4 is how players service their bodies at this level. And what I mean by that is how they take care of it, the decisions they make off the pitch to make sure they're in the best condition to perform at the best of their abilities. So that goes with nutrition. I've noticed players make a lot wiser choices in terms of nutrition. I don't see a lot of guys snacking on junk food or anything like that. Another thing is they come in early, they're prepping their body for the session ahead, doing a lot of activation, a lot of stretching, a lot of prehab to make sure they're meeting the demands of the training and not overloading their body so that they're getting all these overuse injuries. They're really spending the time to prime their bodies to deal with the intensity of the training sessions. So how can you process that information and what can you do with it? Well, I would say even if you're not at the professional level, even if you're not at a semi-professional, not even playing at an amateur club, try and treat your body in the best way you can. So make sure you're eating very nutritious food, stretching daily, going to the gym, doing your strength work to help with injury prevention, and making sure you're hydrating as often as possible. All of these little details are going to have a long-lasting effect and improve your overall performance. I almost see the way professionals treat their bodies is almost like a car. So with a car, if any of you guys own a car, you need to put the right fuel in the car to make it move. You need to maintain it. You need to go for oil changes. You need to get the tires rotated and things like that. There's a lot of different working parts to make sure the car performs as best as it can. So it's the same as being an athlete. There's a lot of different components to making your body perform in the best way. There's nutrition, there's good sleep, hydration, stretching, flexibility, strength. All of these components you want to make sure you're adhering to and trying to get the most out of your body you can. So try and treat yourself like a professional even if you're not a professional. And along with that, I've also noticed the clubs take the players more seriously as well in terms of their condition. And it's the same car analogy. So when you buy a car, sometimes you'll get it checked out before you buy it. You want to make sure there's no problems with the car so that you're not driving down the road and the tire falls off or something like that. And the clubs do that with their players at the pro level as well. They want to make sure the players that they're getting are in good shape, that they're not going to break down for some reason throughout the season. So like when I had to come into club, I had to go for all these checks with the doctor, make sure my heart was okay, make sure my cardiovascular system was working as it should be. They did scans of my body to make sure I didn't have any ligament issues or anything like that. Because obviously at the professional level, clubs are investing sometimes a lot of money into these players. So they want to make sure they're getting value for their money, that they're not wasting it. It's the exact same thing when you buy a car. You don't want to waste your money if the car's not in good shape and it's going to break down. So the clubs treat their players in a very similar manner. And the fifth and final thing I've noticed, especially being in this environment, is that tactical analysis is a huge part of training. So not only the work we do on the pitch, the physical work, strengthening our bodies, getting sharper technically, but we do a lot of work in the classroom, analysing matches, working on tactics, analysing our opponents as well. At this level, a lot of the players in the various teams are at a very similar level. Physically, a lot of guys are quick, a lot of guys are really good on the ball. So the difference between the teams is usually on a tactical level, how you can exploit the other team's weaknesses. There's a lot of different systems and formations that the coach implements to try and basically outfox the other team in some way. So I kind of compare it to a game of chess. When you're playing chess, you have the exact same number of pieces as your opponent, but the deciding factor between who wins is how you move around the board. It's a game of strategy, so it's similar to the game of football as well. You have 11 players, your opponents have 11 players, all very much at a similar level, and it's how you can tactically basically outdo your opponent. So that's something that I've noticed very heavily at this level. So what can you do with that information? How can you apply it to your situation right now? My advice would be to watch as many high-level matches as possible, but not just watch it as a fan, but watch it with an analytical eye. So actually looking what players are doing off the ball, having a look at their formations, how they're playing around the other team, when are they having successful moments, when are they having unsuccessful moments. Really try and decipher how they're beating the opposition or how are they losing to the opposition. Look at your players in your position, your favorite players, and see how they move around the pitch, the decisions that they're making, and then see what you can absorb from watching these games and apply it to your own game. And don't just watch one team, watch a variety of teams, a variety of players, because there's so many different styles of players, styles of teams out there, and there's something to be taken away from each of them. So watch as much football as you possibly can, and that's going to help you with your football IQ. But that's pretty much going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, hope it was insightful, and I hope I answered some of your questions as well and you took away some value from that. Especially that last question, it was a really good one. There's so many things I could have looked into there, and I will do it in future videos, but those are the 5 things that have really stood out to me so far, and I hope you can take away stuff from each of those answers and apply it to your situation right now, because even if you're not a professional at this very moment, there's no reason you can't start acting like one right now. And the more you act like something and map all your behaviors towards it, your chances of actually reaching that go way up. So hopefully that encourages you, gives you a little bit of information that you can start improving your situation right now. Hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, make sure you let me know any questions that you have in the comment section down below. There were so many great ones on the previous video. I can't get around to them all in one video, but I'm going to try and get to as many as I can in each video individually. So even if I didn't answer your question this time, make sure you ask it again, and hopefully I'll get around to it at some point. Just before I go, another huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is where about 7mlctraining.com, and as you can see, thanks to Squarespace, I was able to build a professional looking website that has become the central hub for my entire brand. You can get access to my YouTube, my Instagram, you can get access to my podcasts, all my training programs, everything 7MLC training related in one place. And as somebody who knows nothing about web design or coding, working with Squarespace was an absolute game changer, because they have all templates and tools that you could possibly need, and they make it so simple and easy to put together a website that represents your brand exactly how you want it to. And if you check out the link in my description, www.squarespace.com/7mlc, you can get 10% off your first website. But once again, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I will see you guys in my next video.